Hi everyone, I'm Angelica, aka Gunsmile, and today I want to talk about 5 common misconceptions new players have when making their first character for Degenesis Rebirth. Number 1. New players will equate Degenesis to media in the post-apocalyptic genre, like Mad Max or Fallout. Even though Degenesis does contain certain tropes and themes of a post-apocalyptic game, it's actually pretty difficult to pin it as just that genre. After all, it has apocalyptic elements such as the Reaper's Blow and the Primer, and post-apocalyptic elements such as bustling cities like Justitian and Triple. Remember too that the Eschaton happened 500 years ago. No player character should have any knowledge of what pre-Eschaton life was like, not even Palers. For new players, I suggest emptying your cup. This means forgetting everything that movies like Mad Max and games like Fallout taught you about what a post-apocalyptic world is supposed to be like. The setting of Degenesis is unique, subverts common tropes, and adds layers of depth to elements that would be stereotypes in other media. Number 2. New players think their characters are supposed to be heroes, or even superheroes. At its core, Degenesis is a game about normal people struggling for survival in an inhospitable world. It's about what people will do when pushed to the limit. It's about human nature, and all the conflict and drama that it causes. Yes, there are psychonauts. Yes, there are sleepers. But the game developers never intended for people to play them as characters. Doing so would be antithetical to the central motif of Degenesis. Instead, if you are making a new character, try to think about what kind of story you want to tell. Maybe your character is the trueborn son of a celebrated war hero, who has always lived in his bastard half-brother's shadow. Or maybe you want to play a character who's running away from her dark past. The world of Degenesis offers so many opportunities to tell a unique, interesting, and yet human story. Number 3. New players, especially those who have played games like Dungeons & Dragons, will try to min-max their skills. If you are making a hero, it makes sense to put all of your skill points into 1 or 2 attributes. Fighters would have high body, wizards would have high intellect, and bards would have high charisma. But as we just discussed, the player characters in Degenesis are normal humans. Therefore, it's better to spread out your points over all the attributes and skills. After all, in real life, most people are pretty balanced. That doesn't mean the average person is very good at everything, but they can at least do a little bit of everything. Think of it this way. On the character sheet, 1 point in an attribute such as body or charisma is considered below average ability. 2 points equals average human ability, and 3 points is above average. Someone with intellect 1 would be a clueless idiot, whereas someone with intellect 2 would be an average person, and intellect 3 means they have some kind of formal education. Number 4. New players assume that cults are the same thing as classes or archetypes in other games. Players with a background in games like Dungeons & Dragons, for example, make this mistake a lot. They'll look at the art and think, oh, that Helvetic is in heavy armor, they must be fighters, or the apocalyptic must be a rogue type. The truth is, cults are organizations, not archetypes, and each one has nuances beyond what is obvious on the surface. There is room in each cult for characters who are good at fighting, or good at healing others, or good at diplomacy. You get the picture. In fact, you could have a whole party entirely from the same cult, but each character in the group would have a different role based on the ranks they pick and their skill allotment. Speaking of ranks, number 5. New players assume ranks are levels and that higher ranks are better for their characters. I know what you're thinking. The higher the rank, the better your equipment, the better your powers, right? No, not really. Not always. In fact, the higher your character's rank, the less likely he's leaving his desk at his cult's headquarters. High-ranking characters are typically occupied with playing the political chess game, so if you want to travel Europe on grand adventures, you'll want a low-ranking character instead. Some of the descriptions of the lower ranks do make it seem like low-ranking characters don't have much freedom to travel. They have to check in regularly with their superiors, or they have duties at certain locations. This can be true. However, it's also more likely for a low-ranking character to receive missions sending them abroad. Not only are their superiors busy with far more important tasks, but low-ranking characters are also really expendable. The world is dangerous, and if one chronicler agent or city judge dies, there's usually someone else who can replace her. But if a paradigma or executioner dies afield, that is a great loss for the cult in terms of resource investment and experience. I hope this video gives new Degenesis players a better understanding of how to approach character creation. In part 2, we'll create a character together using the character generator on the Degenesis website and the 2 books Catharsis and Artifacts. Until next time, game on, and be kind to each other.